Welcome back, everyone, to episode 91 of the Guardian Project podcast. I'm Andy, and Coyle is my true name nemesis.
Oh, you don't have protection against me. No way.
I do.
No.
I do. 100%. You can't touch me.
I'm just going to have to do effects that affect all players instead.
Okay, perfect.
And I'm your other host, Mike, and I like my time like I like my ham.
Like you like your ham? Cooked. Nope. Glazed? No, not glazed time. How do you like your time?
I like my time like I like my ham spiraled.
Oh, that was way better. I can't believe I just did that intro.
Please listen carefully.
This is the podcast where we talk about all things Magic the Gathering.
But mostly Commander.
So this past week, if you're a patron, we did post the Gerard Golgari Lichlord deck tech for February. And then if you're in the Discord, we posted that in the patron lounge. So go check that out. I had a really good time actually putting that deck list together because it made it so that I organized all my cards in Archidect by like win con and what fills the graveyard and what I'm going to do to reanimate cards. And I think I'm going to start using the custom categories more often. There was a lot of discussion on Twitter about that, and it just makes it so much easier to track what you actually have in your deck.
Yeah, no, totally agree. It made it, last week we did the Villas deck tech and being able to, I know Dan gave us his deck list on a different website, but we transferred it over to Archidect and categorized it. It just makes it so much easier to look at. So
much easier. So if you're not using those custom categories on Archidect, get on that.
Yeah. Andy, I have a deck building problem because I keep building new decks.
What'd you build this time?
So I brewed up a Jeskai Partners deck that I should be able to get built up into paper pretty easily. This is Livio, Oathsworn Sentinel.
Okay.
Combined with Ludovic, Necro Alchemist. So
is this your first Jeskai deck?
Yeah, I think it is. I can't think of. I think I wanted to build Elsha, and then Nick built it instead, or something like that. So yeah, so Livio, it's ETB trigger deck in Jeskai, and I liked the fact that Livio can exile things and then bring them back at will on creatures. I was trying to find as many Howling Mind effects as I could on creatures so that I could just have them on my board during my turn and then exile them on everyone else's turn. There's not many in creature form though, so I had to take advantage of the ETB a lot more. But that
sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I know that the only Jeskai deck that I really had built previously was Narset Enlightened Master, and it's not really what I want to be doing with friends anymore.
Sure.
It's just, I got to do it. It had its reign.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that. And you don't see Ludwig too often.
No, you don't. And I think it's because it's like a global effect, so everyone has a chance to draw cards there, and people will probably be playing Ludovic's Opus over this so that they only get the effect of drawing cards when people cast their second spell of the turn. But 3 mana, give some group hug that goes around, and I can exile it with Livio in case people are getting too much advantage from it.
Right. No, and those decks are really nice when you're giving someone else advantage. They don't think, I mean, you become less of an issue because it's like, well, Coyle's helping me.
Yeah, less of a target for sure. Don't come
less of a target.
Me.
For sure. I also, I was gifted this past week from Ginger Joe a Lunar New Year promo of Sethron Herloon General, and it's an awesome Minotaur token for the Year of the Ox. So thank you so much for that. I played that on our stream last week, and I think that was the best that deck has really ever performed.
I don't think I've ever lived at one life for so long.
I should have swung at you with an extra creature, and I didn't because I didn't want to do that, and I was like, well, next time I'm just going to do it. Yeah, because I do think that if I had taken you out just a little earlier, you wouldn't have been giving so many of those spirit tokens to other people.
Yeah,
and I don't, live and learn. Hindsight is 2020, but I love that Sethron deck, and it makes me want to play it more often. But also, this is the first foreign language card that I've ever put into a deck, and I think our former host Brian would be very proud of me.
Yeah, but it's not in Japanese, though.
It's not in Japanese, but it's in a foreign language.
That's true.
But it's probably one of the most beautiful arts that I've seen in a really long time. It is the coolest promo.
Yeah, it really is. It's very, very generous of Ginger Joe. Jealous, for sure.
Yes, thank you so much for sending that. And then one other item was I recorded another episode of Kraken for a Cause with Mr. Bevers. That episode is going to be out in May, so it's not out yet, and I'm not going to spoil anything about what we opened or the stipulation or the causes at this time. But as soon as that's out, we will share with everyone. I am very excited to give back and go check out his channel. I was on it, actually. I think the second Kraken for a Cause in his series of Kraken for a Cause is the one that I was on long time ago.
Now, for those who might not be familiar, when you say Kraken for a Cause, you're talking about cracking packs and not giant sea serpents, right?
Correct. So It is not Krakens for a Cause, although I would like to see that. We are cracking packs with the stipulation. The last stipulation that I was in was a Magic Origins pack, and the stipulation was the longest flavor text. So we each open a pack of cards live, and then essentially what happens is the person who, if you win, the other person donates to your charity. Spoiler alert, we both wanted to donate to each other's charity. So everyone really is the winner. I did lose that. So tune into the next one to see if I win or lose. And then if we both donate this time again, spoiler alert, we both donate regardless. So not giving too much away. So that was a lot of fun. And then if you would like to see that patron deck tech that I actually talked about earlier, the Gerard Gogar Lichlord deck, you can head to patreon.com/theguardianprojectpod and donate for any dollar amount. We appreciate all of your support and anything that you can throw our way.
And if you're looking for another way to support the podcast, real simple, whatever you are listening to the podcast on currently, if you could hit a like, follow our channel. If you're on YouTube, you can hit that bell icon so that you can get notifications when we upload new videos, whether it is our Commander VODs from our Thursday night streams or our weekly podcasts. You'll get those updates. Leave a comment on any of our videos or podcasts. We would love to improve the podcast for you, our listeners. So we'd really, really appreciate that.
Yes. Tell us when I pay too much for cards, because I do that. When we miss triggers, because that is very easy to do in Commander. Coyle, what are we talking about this week?
This week, we're going to talk about all things Time Spiral. So Time Spiral Remastered.
Time Spiral Remastered.
Yeah, new set coming out. We're going to talk about some of the cards that are on the bonus sheet, the time shifted cards. We're going to talk about some of the reprints that we're going to get that are heavily needed. All things Time Spiral Remastered today.
All right. Would you like to spiral out of control with me?
I do every day.
All right, so we are talking about Time Spiral Remastered from new reprints, and then new art, old borders, lots of good stuff happening with this set. Not one that we honestly anticipated or saw coming. And initially, I think we both thought, who was this for? And when things were being previewed, I didn't play during Time Spiral. I wasn't sure if it was a set for me or not. I play a lot of cards from it. But I think the more that we saw of it, the more it kind of grew on me. And so this past week, Mark Rosewater posted an article talking about the test of Time Spiral Remastered and really what the plan was, right? So what they came up with was they were trying to really capture the essence of a block that came with a fun limited experience, and to really give players access to cards that they were interested in having, while taking a look at cards from the past. And when they were designing this, they actually looked at their Tempest Remastered, which I believe was an MTGO only remaster, which was kind of boiling down cards from an entire block, which I think the previous time was Tempest, Stronghold, and Exodus. And it went over really well, so they wanted to try it again, and this time they're using Time Spiral. So they knew there were a lot of things they needed to bring back, and specifically in the article they talk about bringing 43 slivers, which were introduced in the Time Spiral block, but that it was just too much because they had to kind of condense all of the sets together into one. So one of the changes specifically is that they are only going to show slivers in red, green, and white this time. There are some multicolor slivers that have blue and or black in them, but they had to restrict those this time around. Did not. I guess I didn't think about the fact that slivers were such a big part of Time Spiral initially.
Yeah, they had to dial it back on the slivers a little bit there.
Yes. And then another card didn't know was such a nuisance the first time around, but they said if you played or drafted during the Time Spiral block, you knew what card they were talking about, and apparently it's Sprout Swarm.
Yeah,
so
I keep hearing that too.
Yeah, Convoke and Buyback. So you can tap your creatures to help pay for the cost of Sprout Swarm, and then you can buy it back for 3 to put it back in your hand, and you make a 1/1 Saproling. And they said it was a common in Future Sight, and it was one of their mix and match mix and match cards that took a non-evergreen keyword that hadn't appeared in the same block and kind of put those things together. So Convoke and Buyback seemed like they would work really well together. The problem was that it went on to become a major problem in draft because it was near impossible to beat once it got going, because once you created enough Saproling tokens, they were able to create more Saprolings without actually needing to spend any mana. Mm-hmm. So you were doing whatever it was that you needed to do, but then casting Sprout Swarm essentially for free on top of continuing your game. Mm-hmm. So I guess the design team, they tried to move it to uncommon, and it was still an issue. So the card was moved to rare. It was still causing problems. They considered mythic rare for it, but that it was causing more problems than it was worth. So they actually just pulled Sprout Swarm from the set. Can you imagine if Sprout Swarm went from common to mythic?
That would be hilarious, honestly.
Honestly, yeah, it was such a big issue that it was completely cut. They said that another thing was the other decision related to the color pie. They said Time Spiral block is famous for messing with the color pie. Time Spiral, for example, has a lot of cards that reference abilities that used to be in certain colors but no longer were. Planar Chaos had alternate reality theme where the color pie was executed differently. And then Future Sight teased possible future executions of the color pie, some of which really haven't come to fruition. And they said that it was something that was popular, and they decided to leave it in because that was kind of the craziness of the Time Spiral block. So we still get to see some of that. But then we get this bonus sheet. So we are going to be seeing cards, 121 cards that are printed for the first time in the 8th edition frame, or I guess in the original Magic frame that changed for the first time in 8th edition. So every card reprinted on the Time Spiral sheet was from before that change. That bonus sheet had 1 slot in each booster. It had a purple expansion symbol. In Planar Chaos, they were time-shifted sheet of 45 cards. Future Sight had 81. So we're going to have 121 that we're going to see. And obviously we'll talk a little bit about that. But they kept, they focused on a few things here, right? So they said, is it from Time Spiral Block's future? Every card has to have been a card that hasn't appeared in the pre-8th edition frame and was not part of the Time Spiral Block. And then the other question was, is it currently played in a format? And so the design team looked for cards that were in the most played formats, Commander, Modern, Pioneer. And then they focused on prioritizing popular commanders. So we'll talk about that. And then if it played really well in the limited theme. So that is really where Time Spiral Remastered comes from. And then this is probably going to be a test. And if it works out well, we may be able to see other remastered sets in paper, because this is the first time it's coming out in paper.
Yeah, super, super exciting. Now that we know everything that we're going to get.
Now that we know everything we're going to get, we're certainly going to talk about it. So, Coyle, what mechanics are we seeing return? Because this is a huge list.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have Echo, Flanking, Flashback, Morph, Shadow, Split Second, Suspend, and Vanishing. And those are only the mechanics that are going to show up more than one time. Because you also have single card use mechanics like Absorb, Buyback, Convoke, Cycling, Delve, Hellbent, Kicker, Madness, Poisonous, Storm, and Transmute. So it's a lot, I guess.
It's a lot of mechanics in a single set, which is, I guess, how it felt when people initially played with Time Spiral. So we're going to see, I mean, probably less often you're going to be playing with that Treasure Cruise for Delve, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to be casting Storm. Right. You're not going to Convoke or buy back too many cards, apparently, at this point. So we're going to see a lot of those, but let's talk about these time-shifted cards, Coyle. Tell us about the time-shifted cards and what we're going to find.
All right, so time-shifted cards are all going to be cards located on what's called a bonus sheet. And the bonus sheet, some people are comparing to like the list from set boosters, but it's actually better than that. One card in every single pack is going to be from this bonus sheet, as Andy alluded to before. They are in the old border, the pre-8th edition border. And there are some pretty sweet reprints that are going on here. You know, a lot of people are going to look at these cards just from the aesthetic view. These are all reprints. And some people are going to hate how these cards look. Cough, cough, Andy, cough, cough.
Hey, it's not my favorite frame, but I like the cards that are being reprinted. So I'm not going to be mad if I open one, right?
That's right. Especially if you're going to open one in foil. So there is a chance that you are going to be able to open these cards in foil. There is, according to a Star City Games article, they were quoting Nelson Brown, WPN rep from Wizards of the Coast, confirmed that the drop rate on time-shifted foils is 1 in every 27 packs. And as a reference, that is a little bit more rare than getting a foil rare, but less rare than getting a foil mythic. So I did watch Gavin Verhey's Good Morning Magic this morning, where he did open the first box of Time Spiral Remastered, and he ended up pulling, spoiler, pause now if you don't want to hear, a foil Mystic Confluence, which looked really, really good. So all the foilings on these old cards will have that shooting star foil marker on there, which I think is really cool.
Oh yeah, that's the old watermark that was used on the pre-modern set foils. So I'm curious to see what the price ends up being for these foils. I'm a huge fan of foils. I mean, we've talked about that many times. Right now, the prices are astronomical for foils. I think what I saw earlier was that the Yawgmoth Thran Physician is already over $150, and then I've seen cards nearing $300. I didn't go look too much more because I'm not gonna pre-order that myself for a card in an old border. But I guess if you open one, and it's supposed to be, like they said, 1 every 27 packs, so it's probably about 1 a booster box. You might get lucky and have 2. Maybe make your money back on the box that way, right? I mean, if you open the right one.
Yeah, I guess the problem is if you open the wrong one, and then you're not even close to getting there. But I think these are going to I think the Panharmonicon is going to be worth the most. Panharmonicon in the old artifact frame, I think, is probably gonna, in my opinion, my non-professional opinion, the most expensive foil from this set. I mean, we know just from trying to pick it up here and there, at some local game stores, that this set is not being printed as much. Definitely not as much as a standard set. I wouldn't say as much as a supplemental set either. Like a master set or anything. So it's going to be difficult to find. Honestly, I would expect like Jumpstart prices right from the get-go if these weren't all reprints. I mean, Jumpstart had unique cards, but these artwork cards very interesting to see what would happen. I mean, you have cards, like they said when introducing Time Spiral, when they were choosing these cards for the bonus sheet, they were looking at all different types of formats. And you might have some, I'm going to call them whales out there. You might have some whales that are looking to pick up a play set of foil Thoughtseize in this old border for their modern deck or something.
Yep.
I think Commander players are only going to be picking up one copy of some of these cards, and some of the really exciting cards, like the legendary creatures that they have in here.
Yeah. There's 30 legendary creatures in Time Spiral Remastered. Some of the more popular ones, are Feather, Arcades, the Strategist, Tassiger, the Golden Fang, Yawgmoth, Ram Physician, Lush Who Smiles at Death, Slimefoot, the Stowaway, and Talrand Sky Summoner are just some of them. And those decks on EDH Rec all have over 1,200 plus. I mean, Feather has over 3,000 decks. Yawgmoth, 18, just shy of 1,900. So they definitely focused on Commander here, and are giving us a lot of cards to add in these old frames.
Yeah, for sure. And then just one little tidbit that I really, really enjoy on these old frames is any of the cards that have mechanics that you can activate while they're in the graveyard. So like Flashback or Dredge or something like that. They have the little tombstone next to the
They brought the tombstone back.
That's right. I very much enjoy that.
So looking at circling back one more item or topic before we move on to another item is Relentless Rats in foil. What do we think that's going to end up being?
It's probably going to be...
If you need 30 old border foil Relentless Rats, how much is someone willing to pay for 30 of them in a deck?
I think they're going to be like $10 to $15 a piece. Wow. You're going to get 30 of them. It's going to set you back like $3,000. Is that how that works?
If you need 30 and they're at 10, you add the zeros together.
Yeah. So it's just $300.
Mm-hmm.
Just for your Relentless Rats.
But if they are $30,
then you have to spend a lot more money.
I would suggest you not build the deck with 30 foil old border Relentless Rats.
But if you do, show it off. I just really hope that these don't end up being Pringles then, these foils.
That a lot of people are wondering if they are going to be. So that with old modern sets, right? There were some, when I say modern sets, I mean like modern master sets. There were some, complaints with the actual card stock, and then we changed card stock, and then there was curling. It'd be great if we can get to the point where all foils were done like the etched foil. Whatever they had to do for those etched foils should be what they do on all foils.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that etched kind of frosted look, although I like it. Just make it so they don't bend anymore. Can we just do that? Although I put them in decks, and I just know that unfortunately one of my Commander Legends cards is coming up now. Oops.
Well, yeah, maybe every pack should just come with a small vise so that you could put all your cards in that vise and bend them back the way that they need to be.
Exactly. So we have 14 cards here that got new art this time around. So we wanted to talk about these. Some of the more popular cards getting new border, I guess for me at least, and what I've seen online, Search for Tomorrow getting a new artwork here. It's somebody coming out of like a little portal into like a really pretty kind of a grove area with a waterfall. It reminds me of Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that's definitely the kind of portal.
Exactly the portal Doctor Strange would make. I don't know if this is representing someone specifically, but this artwork in foil, even, this is top notch. This is my favorite new artwork. Which one did you like of the new artworks?
I really like, although I only play it in one deck and it's a CEDH deck that I don't bring out that much, I really like Magus of the Moon. The Magus of the Moon artwork is beautiful, in my opinion.
It's like an actual person standing on a mountain. I can't tell what the previous Magus of the Moon actually is. Is it... is it a person? It says human wizard, but I can't really tell. Oh, you know what? Okay, they're looking to the left. They've got like a brooch on. And I think that's what throws me is I always think that this is like a flower.
Oh, yeah, because, okay, so the thing going down is their left arm. So they're definitely looking to the left. And they're holding a staff. They have a very strange contraption on, like what Bane would wear from Batman or something.
Maybe you know what's funny is I had never really looked at this artwork this in depth until you said your favorite artwork is the new Magus of the Moon. I was like, why is that your favorite? But I guess it is completely different.
It's very, very, I mean, other than the giant red moon in the background, but even then it's very harsh, very detailed moon in the old printing, and in the new one, it's a little bit more washed out. It's softer on the eyes. It gets me a little bit, red under the collar.
Oh, yeah. Another one that I really like here is Angel's Grace. And I think I might like it just because I like this card. So again, it's kind of got that like the split in half artwork where one is like very like, it's got a lot of yellow light and it's a little holy there with a monsters or something happening on the other side. So this is a really great reprint, actually. Split second. You can't lose the game this turn. Your opponents can't win the game. And until on a turn, damage that would reduce your life total below 1 reduces it to 0. So I like this reprint. It looks like, they kept the same like, a nod to the original artwork is it's very similar. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I totally like it, especially since the old art makes me think that my Venusaur is using Solar Beam from the bottom left-hand corner of the artwork.
That is exactly what it sounds like. When you say Solar Beam, I can hear Solar Beam.
Yeah.
You can hear Hyper Beam at Solar. There's just, Pokemon was my life when I grew up. So.
Did they have different sounds in the 16-bit version on the Game Boy?
I don't know if they were different sounds, but I can hear them, and I think they're very similar. Yeah. And I would try to recreate it, but I know I would fail at it. But it's a very good sound. The other one that I'm really excited about getting another artwork on here is Delay. So I actually play Delay in my Noyan Dar deck. I have it in foil. This time we've got like 2 people standing under a shield, kind of deflecting things like rocks and electricity or energy of some sort coming at them, as opposed to what I describe as the old artwork of like an ogre stepping through broken glass.
Yeah, that's like there's a ton of Suspend cards that look like that from this era or from this block. So it's nice to see the opposite, shielding themselves with time. Shielding
with time as opposed to making this ogre step awkwardly through. I don't want them to cut their foot up, but I guess they're trying to slow down that scary ogre, so maybe they do want it to cut its foot up.
Yeah, that'd be fine if they cut. I don't think their intention is to cut, and if they do, it's a bonus.
Okay, sure. And then the other one that I play is Safi Eriksdotter. So Safi has another artwork, and so Safi is one of those cards that is related to another. So that's Hans from Ak Hans Run. So Hans was actually a card that had come out in Commander Legends, Hans Eriksson, both by Ryan Pancoast. And it sounds like they were commissioned together but split up for different products. And I didn't notice it until I had seen them talk about it. But on Hans Eriksson that came out in Commander Legends, Safi is actually standing in the back of that artwork. Mm-hmm. And in Safi's artwork, Hans is running away in the back of this one. So they were commissioned together, but then they ended up being separated. And now we finally got the second one for the 2 artworks to kind of shine together.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I know I really like the new artwork on the Miri the Cursed. It's not a card that I play in any deck, and it's actually not a card I even see people play in Commander very often.
I've never seen it cast.
But it could be a pretty cool mono black Voltron creature just because it has haste. So flying first strike haste, 3/2 vampire cat that whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it for 4 mana, 2 black. I just really like the story behind Miri the Cursed. Learning about how, so the opposite card to this would be Krovax the Cursed. And so what it is in this particular block, there was 2 different timelines that happened. And in a pivotal moment between Krovox and Miri, Krovox in the actual timeline decided to be the one to go kill Selenia, the Dark Angel. I think she was she was like an angel for the Cabal, basically, and got cursed because of it. And then in this new storyline, this alternate storyline, Miri is the one that actually ends up killing Selenia, and Miri is the one that becomes cursed. So if you like lore, you'd like a card like this with some brand new artwork.
Yeah, no, these cards, the new artwork cards are, I just like when you have options.
Yeah.
And rounding out the remainder of the cards, I had new art. We have Blade of the Sixth Pride, Chromatic Star, Logic Knot, Mangara of Corondor, Orcish Cannonade, Simian Spirit Guide, Spellburst, and Street Wraith. So there were a total of 14 cards with new artwork. And honestly, I see quite a few of these cards played all over. So I think they hit the nail on the head with cards that are popular in multiple formats being put into this set.
It's a little disappointing that Simian Spirit Guide got banned in Modern right before it got reprinted.
So I did see that as well. A lot of folks were saying, oh my gosh, this is awkward. But you can still play it in other formats. And
sure.
The artwork's really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's a big old gorilla kind of standing at the edge of a cliff.
Dude, the flavor text on there, I think, is really
cool. So it's rarely worth questioning where the mana comes from. Just be grateful. From Jaya Ballard Taskmage.
That's right. So just so you know, all mana comes from giant gorillas.
Ape spirits, they bring the mana.
Apes together strong, baby.
No. Oh boy. All right. So the next item we want to get to is our favorite reprints. And Coyle, why don't you go ahead and start us off with your number one favorite reprint from this set?
I mean, I know you put it on the list, but I'm going to say it.
Yeah, I put it on the list because I was prepping so that I already had your notes ahead of time. So I knew some of your notes early.
Yeah, so this is my favorite board wipe in all of Magic, and that is Damnation. So 2 black sorcery. It says destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. So this is a color shifted Wrath of God. So instead of 2 white, destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated, it's 2 black. So Wrath of God probably would be my favorite white board wipe, but black is better, in my opinion.
I think this is our 7th paper printing of this card.
Yeah, and it's still
6th.
And it's still going to be $20 forever.
Uh-huh.
At minimum. I did actually recently, I didn't talk about it in the what happened last week. I did get my Seb McKinnon artwork stuff, so I actually do have another copy of Damnation now. So I want another copy of Damnation.
Yeah, it looks like right now, Time Spiral Remastered, it looks like it's listed for around $18, but this card is great. I do own one, so I do shift it between decks, but this is a solid card for those folks that don't have it, and hopefully we can get a few more in the rotation here.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think I'm really excited about Pact of Negation. I mean, it's not my number one. I don't have like a number one here, but Pact of Negation's great. It's a free counter spell, and it says at the beginning of your upkeep, pay 5, so 3 blue. If you don't, you lose the game. These cards are really great to have in Commander if you don't have a copy. This card is pretty expensive. They did print Slaughter Pact, Summoner Pact, and Pact of the Titan. There wasn't an Intervention Pact this time around, but this one's already listed for about $30. 38 from Future Sight. It's just an expensive card because it's just really great. I mean, early game, you're certainly not going to play it unless you just want to lose. Or you can stifle the upkeep trigger, I guess.
Well, I mean, if you're playing a non-commander format like Modern or something and you're comboing off, as long as you know you're not going to make it to your next turn, you can just use it as a free counterspell.
That's true. You know what? I don't even know if you can stifle this.
What is stifle, say, counter target spell that's converted mana cost 1 or 1 or less?
No, the ability.
Oh.
The losing the game. I don't think I even can. Honestly, I'd have to look into it. I'm not that much of a a Trixie player, so I wouldn't Pact of Negation hoping to get out of it the next turn. But really great card. Happy to see it reprinted.
Yeah, for sure. Next card, I think maybe the most impactful reprint just from like a price standpoint. No, maybe not. Don't quote me on that, but that's going to be my intro for this card. We have Gauntlet of Power. So Gauntlet of Power is a 5 converted mana cost artifact. 5 generic mana artifact. It says Gauntlet of Power enters the battlefield, choose a color. Creatures of the chosen color get +1/+1. And whenever a basic land is tapped for mana of the chosen color, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of that color. So this card was like a $20 card for a very long time. It's starting to go down a little bit. I guess it was like $23 and now it's like 17 or 18 now that it's being reprinted in Time Spiral. I assume the price will go down even a little bit more than that. Very important card for a lot of monocolor strategies. People will play Caged Sun at 6 CMC, which does something very similar. But the only thing better than a Caged Sun is another Caged Sun. This one is a global effect, which is different than Caged Sun, which only affects your stuff. But it is really, really nice in go-wide strategies. The most I see Gauntlet of Power in is probably mono-red goblins. But I don't see why it would be any worse in like mono-green elves or mono-black zombies. So
yeah, what's funny? I don't even own a Gauntlet of Power, and this is the first reprint that's not or that is of the same artwork. It's technically the second time it's being printed, but the second time or the second time was a Kaladesh invention.
Yeah,
so it wasn't a real reprint. I mean, it is, but it's not.
Right. So yeah, it's not an accessible reprint, not an accessible price or anything. I mean, they're still going for like $65 for that invention. So that's a very pricey card. A card that I'm excited to play with, based on what we saw on our stream just a couple of weeks ago, is Swarmyard. So this is a land that has tapped to produce 1 colorless mana, or you can tap it to regenerate target insect, rat, spider, or squirrel. So this was a pretty specific card to be used in specific decks. And then Orvar the All-Form was printed, and it's a changeling, and it's really great. I mean, Morophon is a changeling, so it certainly would fit there too. Right.
But I don't see this card come up very often. It was getting very pricey, and this is its first reprint outside of a secret layer drop. So it was in the secret layer drop with the squirrels. It's a $20 card. It looks like it's up for about $10 right now. So I will likely be picking up my copy once Time Spiral Remastered comes out. Coyle, your notes had said that you might even believe that it's underplayed here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in like, so I don't, as you just said, I have a Morophon deck. I don't run this in my Morophon deck. There's some different reasons why I don't. Sometimes I like my Morophon to die so that I can recast it. But I just think people are only looking at Swarmyard for insect, rat, spider, or squirrel decks, which aren't very plentiful at all, when they really should be looking at changeling decks. Or if you just have an important changeling in your deck, if you're playing Atla Palani and you need your mirror entity to survive. I mean, what's 1 colorless mana? It comes into play untapped, just saying. So
we should do a whole episode on Swarmyard.
I mean, we could, but
we probably could.
I don't know if we should.
I don't know. We'll think about it. Yeah, so I'm excited to play with Swarmyard. I don't own a copy. If I can get my hands on one in foil, that'd be even better.
Yeah. So another card, mono black card that I really, really love. I know we already went over Damnation being a mono black card.
I skipped a mono blue card because I wasn't going to talk about all my mono blue cards in a row.
That's what it's. That's probably a good strategy. I have no shame. So Nether Trader is being reprinted at Rare here. So this is a black for a 1/1 spirit with haste and shadow. This says whenever another creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay a black, and if you do, return Nether Trader from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this is a really good way to just like constantly recur an extra body, do 1 more damage with a hasty unblockable creature, pseudo unblockable, but pretty much unblockable with shadow, unless another opponent has a bunch of creatures with Shadow. Maybe you're playing
Marisi, Breaker of the Coil is where I play all my shadow creatures.
Yeah, so you're going to be the one person who can block my Nether Trader. But this particular card is really good. Like I said, where you're trying to get extra death triggers. So maybe in a Teysa Karlov deck, particularly good in a Keurig deck because you can pay 2 life rather than the black to bring it back to the battlefield. Maybe you can end up netting mana with a Phyrexian Arena or something. So Nether Trader is just one of those like combo pieces that had never seen a reprint before. So this is the first reprint. It was going for about $14. You could pick up one of the older copies for $9. The new copy is listed for like $12. I think it's probably going to go down from there. And it's really only seeing play in Commander. So look to pick up a copy after it comes out.
Yeah. The next card that I want to talk about is another one of those cards. It's a great card. I just think it was at that price point where some folks would probably say, is it really necessary? And that's Venser, Schaefer, Savant. So Venser is a 2/2 wizard for 4 that has flash, and when it enters the battlefield, return target spell or permanent to its owner's hand. So you can, it doesn't actually counter spells, but you can return a permanent or a spell that's on the stack to someone's hand. When it doesn't counter, it just puts it back in their hand. If it's a copy of a spell, it doesn't exist anymore. It's a great card. It's on TCG Player. You can find it for around like $10, $14, depending on your set. But right now it looks like it's around $8. So it's at that point where, if that's where you're at, Venser might be a great pickup, or to trade, a couple cards into it. I know when cards start getting to around $14, I go, is it absolutely necessary? Because I could maybe pick up $2, $2, $5, $6, maybe $7 cards, instead of one $14 card.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I particularly like the artwork that they have on this one, though. The original artwork for Venser that makes him look like Jinzo from Yu-Gi-Oh!, if you understand that reference.
I don't, but it's also the first Venser Schaefer Savant that's in the new legendary creature border. So it's got the really fancy kind of the artwork on the top of the card. It is the first time we're seeing that because it was in Modern Masters 17, which didn't have that, and then it was in From the Vault 20. Other than that, it was just Future Sight. So it's our 4th reprint, but first time in that legendary creature border. So big fan of that. I love that border.
Yeah. The only request that I have is you don't play this card with Omniscience and Panharmonicon and bounce everything to their owner's hand every time they try to cast a spell. That's all. That's all I ask.
Okay. I'll put that deck together for you.
All right. The next card that I'm excited to see is Keen Sense. I don't play this card in any deck ever, and I didn't know this card existed until Time Spiral Remastered started getting announced. Yeah, didn't know about it at all.
See, we're the people that they want to see some of these cards, right? We gotta look back at some of these old stuff.
That's right. So Keen Sense is a 1-green enchantment aura. It says enchant creature. Whenever enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. You might think that sounds really, really familiar, and that's because there's a card called Curiosity for 1 blue that's an enchant creature aura. It says whenever enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. So this is just a time-shifted Curiosity. This actually does depict the pivotal moment between Miri and Krovax, where Krovax ends up leaving and Miri goes to go kill Selenia. Which is also kind of interesting because the original artwork for the card Curiosity has Miri spying on Krovax as he's going to go kill Selenia. So it's kind of like a complete opposite thing. And I don't think there's any commanders that can really take advantage of this card the same way that Niv Mizzet can take advantage of Curiosity, and maybe that's why.
Oh no, this is a Slimefoot All-Star.
Oh, okay, I could see that.
Yep. So Slimefoot would deal 1 damage to each opponent, and you draw 3 cards. And if you have a sack outlet, you can almost go infinite with Keen Sense.
Nice.
If you're making, let's say you have an Ashnod's Altar. An ability to double your creature. I mean, it's a whole thing. Slimefoot is one of those decks that it's like, oops, I made an engine. This is one of those cards that are part of the oops, I made an engine in Slimefoot. And that's the only deck that I'm familiar with that has that. But I loved that card. It's funny. I played Slimefoot for probably 2 years, and I don't know if I ever cast it, but it was in the deck the entire time.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw you cast it, quite honestly. I mean, I played that deck probably like 20, 30 times.
Absolutely. No, great card. And I did not know that this card showed that actual part of the story. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. So, and if you particularly don't like the way that the old Keen Sense looked with the Future Sight kind of different border and everything, this one has normal border. So you have that going for you.
It's got the modern border. The next card, let's talk about one that this is a really great reprint. Gemstone Caverns. So I actually own a copy of this because it was really, when we were trying to build for Commander League, I needed like a little more oomph. So Gemstone Caverns is a land that says if it's in your opening hand and you are not the starting player, you can begin with it on the battlefield with a luck counter on it. And if you do, you exile just another card from your hand. So this is a pregame effect, which is really cool. And then it taps to add a colorless, but if it has a luck counter on it, it instead adds 1 mana of any color. So it's not a bad, card if you draw it later in the game, but it can just be really great early because you kind of get out the gate running.
Yeah, I don't see this card played very much. The last time I actually saw it play, so I know people play it in Commander because having one mana on turn 0 is fantastic. I saw it most when the Neoform Allosaurus Rider Modern deck was going around. And they sideboarded Gemstone Caverns in if you won the first game, so that you for sure were the second player and you weren't going first. So you have the opportunity to actually put it on the battlefield with Gemstone Caverns. So it's a very niche card, but it's cool. I mean, I like it.
Yeah. Right now it's listed around like $55 and it looks like the new one's down just under 40. So, $15+ that's a significant drop. I don't know how much further it's going to drop. It is a mythic in this set.
Yeah.
But I'm here for it. And I would absolutely pick up this if I could get a copy of this in foil. Yeah. I don't have that in foil.
Yeah. And it's a legendary land with legendary border in case that's something that you're looking for too.
Hey, Niambi could go for some more legendary lands.
Yeah,
okay.
Why not?
Yeah.
All right, so big price alert. Where next card we're talking about Sliver Legion. So Sliver Legion is a 7/7 sliver for Wooburg, white, blue, black, red, green. That says all sliver creatures get +1/+1 for each other sliver on the battlefield. So if you wanted to pick up a copy of Sliver Legion from Future Sight today, you can pick one up for as low as $80 on TCG Player. Market price is $104, so I only assume before this was announced it was being reprinted in Time Spiral that it was going for over $100. One other printing besides that, a Judge promo that you can pick up for $150. So really nice to see this reprinted. Maybe you don't want to see this reprinted because you don't want to see more sliver decks, but this is one of the last slivers that I needed for my Morophon Everything tribal deck, so I'm really happy to see it get reprinted, and maybe I'll be able to finally pick up a copy for my buy-in price would be under $50 would be nice.
Yeah, Sliver Legion, real expensive, but I don't run slivers, but you don't really run slivers either. You run them because you're running all creature, legendary creature types, or just legendary creature tribal. And it just so happens that all of those slivers are really good.
They're really, really good. Yeah.
The last card that I have is actually not a card that is a big price spike or I guess something that's going to save us a lot of money, because it's not a card that is played very often anymore. Just one that has some fond memories from when I had first learned how to play Modern and played a really silly deck. But it's Restore Balance. So Restore Balance is a sorcery with Suspend. It doesn't have a CMC printed on it because it can only be suspended. So the card says that it is white and it has to spend 6 for 1 white. And it says at the beginning of each player chooses a number of lands he or she controls equal to the number of lands controlled by the player who controls the fewest. And then they sacrifice the rest, and they just continue doing this with creatures and then discarding cards the same way. So, I played really a deck with Restore Balance in Modern. It was not a good deck. I went to an SCG event with it. I did not do well, but it just brings back some good memories. It's going from $4 to $3 now.
Was it restore balance with Greater Gargadon and you sacrificed all of your permanents? Oh, that's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. It was Greater Gargadon, and you played like these border posts because you were able to like do things for free and for much cheaper. So it was a fun deck. For a little while, it was seeing some play. It's a mythic here. You certainly wouldn't want to see restore balance in every game, so I completely understand why it's not a lower rarity.
Yeah. In case you want to use that combo, Greater Gargadon also is printed Time Spiral. You'll be able to draft that combo, hopefully, and make some enemies while playing with your friends.
Is it also being reprinted here? I guess I didn't even look to see if Greater Gargadon was actually being reprinted in this set.
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
Yep, it sure is. So suspend 10, sack an artifact, creature, or land, remove a time counter, and it's a 9/7 beast.
Yep.
So
you're going to have a 9/7, your opponent's not going to have any permanents. It's perfect.
Oh gosh. Good luck.
All right. So I actually had two more cards on the list.
Okay.
One of them's kind of just a whatever card. So I'll get that one out of the way real quick. Magus of the Future is being reprinted. We talked about this in our episode titled Superb Owl, where we talked about the Vega the Watcher deck tech, where Magus of the Future is a very good staple in that deck. I could not find a Magus of the Future at either of my LGSs. So now that it's being reprinted, maybe I'll be able to pick one up at my LGS and be able to play it in my Vega deck. It's the only reason I wanted to bring up this card. It's not an expensive card. You get it for under $1. It didn't need a reprint, but we got one now. So cool. And the last card is one that I just think is a really, really fun card to play in Commander. And I think Wizards of the Coast knows that too, which is why they gave it a pseudo reprint, as well as this reprint, I guess this actual reprint. So this is Stuffy Doll. So Stuffy Doll is a 5-mana artifact construct. Artifact creature construct. It's a 0/1 indestructible that says as Stuffy Doll enters the battlefield, choose a player. Whenever Stuffy Doll is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to the chosen player, and then you can tap Stuffy Doll to deal 1 damage to itself, which will deal 1 damage to the chosen player. And I say that it got a pseudo reprint because they did print Brash Taunter in M21, right?
Yes, M21.
So Brash Taunter is mono red, 5 converted mana cost, 1/1 indestructible goblin. That says when it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target opponent. And you can pay 3 and tap it, and it fights another target creature. Brash Taunter, you could probably consider a better version of Stuffy Doll. One, it has 1 more power than Stuffy Doll, which automatically makes it better. The fact that it does have color identity does, make it so that you can't play it in every single deck like you can Stuffy Doll. But it can fight creatures rather than just deal 1 damage to itself. It does it to a target opponent, so you don't have to choose the opponent all the time with the Stuffy Doll. It gets around hexproof as long as they don't have hexproof before Stuffy Doll comes on the battlefield. But if you're looking to have a lot of fun in a draft environment, you'll also be able to draft Shivan Meteor and be able to do 13 damage to a target creature, and you can do 13 damage to your own Stuffy Doll after you put it on the battlefield and name your opponent. So I think that's fun.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to be doing in this set. It sounds like a blast, and again, this is one of those sets. It's unfortunate that it is coming out still in during the pandemic. We are still not out of it, so we're not really getting together. Be safe if you're going to be doing that, and hopefully we see lots of good feedback from this, because I would not be upset to see another remastered set from the past. I don't have anything in particular, but I didn't get to draft a lot because I didn't start back a long time ago. So
yeah, for sure,
give me more of these.
And I was able to pick up 1 booster box. So hopefully after COVID dies down a little bit, we can get together and draft it one time. I mean, that's pretty much all.
We got one shot really to do it, and I'm down. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, that's it for our show this week. We want to thank you all for listening. If you want to contact us, you can find our podcast online at theguardianprojectpodcast.com. You can find us on Twitter at GuardianPod, and our gameplay videos on YouTube at youtube.com/The Guardian Project. If you want to email us, if you have any topics or suggestions or requests from us, you can email us at guardianprojectpod@gmail.com. I am on Twitter at ATFlory.
And I am on Twitter at WormCoilEngine. And of course, we want to give a special thanks to Ryan Nichols, our producer and editor, and to Chris Wolf, who handles all of our graphic design and all of our beautiful thumbnails that you see on our YouTube channel. I guess next week, Andy, you're going to be live on another show?
I may be on another show pretty live. I don't want to spoil it yet. I don't want to spoil it just yet. I'm waiting for the confirmation, but you may see me live hanging out with some of our friends of the show real soon. So we will give you an official update as soon as that is happening. And that is it for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week with episode 92.
92.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.